What you didn't hear on Ferrari's radio says everything. The official broadcast didn't cut it, it exposed it. During the Monaco Grand Prix, while the cameras celebrated Leclerc's home podium, the message Hamilton received went out live, raw and unfiltered. Push now, this is our race. This wasn't a technical mistake, it was a public declaration of internal war. Hamilton stood still because this wasn't the first time. It wasn't an accident, it was another chapter in an alarming pattern of vague calls, unclear strategy, and unanswered questions. Riccardo Adami, his race engineer, seemed to ignite a battle that simply didn't exist. Lewis was 50 seconds off the lead, out of reach, no threat, no target. And yet, the order came. Attack. He obeyed, and burned through his tires for nothing. The delta wasn't there. The win was never in play. The real question isn't whether there was confusion, but who inside Ferrari is crafting a tactical illusion to protect another narrative? Hamilton didn't explode. He observed, he waited, then he asked questions, and in the silence that followed, the real message began to emerge. There is a division inside Ferrari, and it's getting harder to hide. Hamilton started 7th, penalized, boxed in, compromised from the beginning, but like always, he advanced, cleared Hadjar, cleared Alonso, and then silence, space, emptiness. The race became limbo, a purgatory of pace without purpose. He called it no man's land. But what he didn't say out loud spoke louder. This wasn't just a quiet stint, it was strategic abandonment. While Leclerc was being celebrated as Monaco's hero, Ferrari left Hamilton drifting, disconnected from the fight, fed with filtered data and no real context. He asked, what's the gap to Verstappen, to Leclerc, to Norris, to Piastri? The answer, vague, foggy. And in F1, when a driver doesn't get clear numbers, there are only two options: a system glitch or a deliberate decision. And this wasn't a glitch. Hamilton wasn't asking out of curiosity. He was probing, calculating, testing the trust, and the silence he got in return? That was the answer, because at the top of motorsport, lack of clarity isn't carelessness. It's political. A civil war doesn't start with shouting, it starts with data that never arrives. Push now. This is our race. On paper, it sounded like urgency, like Ferrari saw a window, but the numbers didn't lie. And Hamilton knew it. He wasn't under threat. He wasn't hunting anyone. The gap to the car ahead was unbridgeable, so why light the fuse? Because sometimes orders aren't meant to guide, they're meant to mislead. Hamilton responded the only way a driver like him could, with execution. He pushed, burned through tire life, degraded his mediums for a scenario that didn't exist, and when the data finally settled, the truth was obvious. He had been told to fight a ghost. What's worse, he didn't question it right away, he trusted. That's the tragedy. In that moment, Ferrari didn't just waste a stint, they burned political capital. Because when you give a champion false data, you don't just lose a lap, you lose credibility. It was a setup without a target, a call to arms with no war, and Hamilton knew. That message wasn't strategy, it was performance. But for who? For Leclerc watching the deltas? For the pit wall trying to appear united? Or for the cameras capturing a fight that was never real? In Monaco, the real theatre wasn't in Casino Square, it was in the garage. In any great team, a leader has clarity, precision, trust in the chain of command. But in Monaco, Hamilton didn't lead, he wandered. Not because he lacked direction, but because no one at Ferrari gave him one. He asked simple questions. Am I a minute behind? Silence, then deflection, then frustration. You're not answering the question, he fired back. This wasn't just miscommunication, it was a breakdown of structure. On race day, Hamilton wasn't just racing Norris or Verstappen, he was racing doubt. Doubt in his engineer, doubt in the plan, doubt in whether there was a plan at all. This is not a rookie asking for reassurance, this is a 7-time world champion demanding accountability and getting radio static in return. Ferrari promised unity in the winter. Monaco gave us something else, the image of a legend cut adrift. Leclerc had direction, Hamilton had fog. Two drivers, same car, different wars, and when Hamilton asked, "Are you upset with me or something?" That wasn't sarcasm, that was exhaustion. A general, mid-battle, realizing his orders are being scrambled, not by enemies, by his own command. There is no revolution without first identifying the traitors within. Hamilton didn't just question the order, he dissected it. Post-race, staring into the data, he exposed the truth. I wasn't anywhere near the guys up front. Translation, the push was pointless, the effort wasted, tires burned for nothing. That wasn't a race strategy, it was a psychological minefield. Why ask a driver to push without cause? Why provoke acceleration in no man's land? Because every tire degraded is a message, a symbol, of control or of misdirection. For Leclerc, the strategy aligned with opportunity. For Hamilton, it resembled chaos disguised as motivation. In Formula One, you don't tell a champion, "This is our race," unless you mean it. And if you do, and it's false, then it's no longer strategy, it's sabotage by erosion. Not dramatic, not loud, but silent, calculated. It's death by confusion. Some saw it as just another misstep. Hamilton saw it as something deeper, a pattern, a warning. This wasn't the first time the wires crossed, and every time they do, Hamilton pays the price in pace and trust. He played the loyal soldier, this time. But wars aren't won with silence, they're won by recognizing when the commands no longer serve the mission. While Hamilton was left chasing phantoms, Leclerc's path was clear. The strategy, the timing, the tire life, everything fell into place. P2 in Monaco, glory at home, cheers in the tunnel. But beneath the champagne, the contrast was brutal. Same car, same team, yet one was empowered and the other misdirected. This wasn't about raw pace, it was about positioning. Technical, political, psychological. Ferrari's choices painted a hierarchy. Leclerc was the protagonist, Hamilton, the experiment. The overcut that worked for Leclerc was a masterpiece. For Hamilton, it was a mirage. And in the delta between their strategies, a deeper message pulsed. Ferrari is already choosing sides. Hamilton noticed the cameras didn't show the look in his eyes during the debrief. Cold, focused, not angry, calculating. He knows the game. He's played it longer than anyone on that wall. And if they think he's here to be the wise old veteran mentoring Leclerc to glory, they've misunderstood the mission. Lewis didn't come to Ferrari to follow, he came to transform. And now, Monaco marks the moment the transformation turns into resistance. Hamilton's silence isn't passivity, it's pressure, controlled, focused, measured like downforce in Sector 2. He's not exploding, he's absorbing, watching, testing the limits not just of the SF25's balance but of Ferrari's internal unity. Because Hamilton didn't come to Maranello to be part of a team, he came to reshape it. And what we saw in Monaco wasn't frustration, it was awakening. A moment when a generational talent realized this empire isn't ready for him, not yet. The engineers speak one language, the politics another, the car a third. And Hamilton? He's writing his own, quietly, relentlessly. Every lap in silence is a seed of revolution, every ignored radio call, a signal flare to the future. Leclerc may wear red, but Hamilton is becoming Ferrari. The idea, the standard, the coming storm. He's not just a driver, he's the spiritual leader of a Ferrari that doesn't yet exist. And when the storm hits, it won't look like rage, it'll look like perfect pace. Pit wall defiance, a podium stare that says, "I told you." Monaco wasn't the failure, it was the prophecy. The question now isn't if Hamilton will lead Ferrari, it's whether Ferrari will survive the man it hired. Monaco wasn't a defeat, it was a signal, a test, a quiet confrontation disguised as a Sunday drive, and Hamilton, he passed. Not by winning, but by seeing. He saw the cracks, he felt the silence, he burned tires for a lie and didn't flinch. He recorded everything. And now, Ferrari knows he knows. This isn't just about strategy, it's about power, about who shapes the narrative, about whether this team will be built around comfort or around greatness. Leclerc is the prince, beloved, native, fast, but Hamilton is the architect of legacy. And architects don't ask permission, they build. The next races will not be about overtakes, they will be about alignment or revolt. Because Lewis won't let Monaco happen again. He'll challenge the calls, he'll rewrite the script, and if the wall resists, they'll feel what Mercedes felt in 2021. A storm dressed in control, there's no middle ground. Ferrari must decide, are they ready to be led by a legend or to be remembered as the team that wasted him? This isn't a comeback story, it's a collision course. And Monaco, that was just the prologue.